If life hasn't gone the way you thought it would, if you're grieving a relationship or trying to hold it all together while your body feels anxious, heavy, or overwhelmed, then this episode is for you because heartbreak doesn't just live in your mind, it lives in your body. It shows up in your nervous system. It's in how you sleep, how you think, how you feel safe, and how much trust yourself moving forward. After working with women who feel stuck, burnout, or disconnected from themselves, I have noticed something very important. A lot of women try to think their way through heartbreak. They try to stay strong, they try to stay positive, they try to move forward as quickly as possible, but their body hasn't quite caught up yet. So their nervous system is still holding the shock, the grief, and the uncertainty. And that's where so many women get stuck, which is why we're joined today by Sarah Curnoles, a breakup coach who helps recently single women heal, reconnect with themselves, and begin creating a life beyond what they thought was possible. So, we're going to talk about what it actually looks like to move through heartbreak in a way that includes the body, to release emotional blocks, and begin shifting from survival mode into something much more grounded, clear, and powerful. Before we dive in, if you're in a season where you know that you need the support, Sarah has a beautiful resource for you. Her masterclass, From Hot Mess to Badass, is designed to help recently single women heal, reconnect with themselves, and begin creating a life beyond what they thought was possible. You guys can check her out at sarahcurnoles.com/masterclass. All right, let's get into it. Sarah is a certified life coach, the creator of From Hot Mess to Badass, her signature method for helping women move through heartbreak and into a life that's more grounded, empowered, and fully their own. So, Sarah, I am so excited to have you here and have us talk about the subject.
Yeah, and before we get deep into it, I just want to presence because this is all about feeling and what's alive in our bodies, right?
Yeah.
Listening to you speak with such mastery of what you do and the way the words are coming out of your mouth, your
Yeah.
voice, it's so powerful and moving. It almost feels like this like magical spell you're casting.
Oh,
And it was bringing tears to my eyes
oh,
of like,
thank
look at this
you.
woman who's taken her situation and she's turning it into medicine for other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because we're talking about healing, I was working with my teacher this morning, and I think like my system feels very open. It feels like it's receiving a lot, and I'm really excited. This conversation is going to be juicy. I can already feel it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that.
Welcome.
All right. So, Sarah, for anyone who's meeting you for the first time, can you share a little bit about your story and what led you to become a breakup coach?
Yeah. So I have been a life coach for 9 years. And for 5 of those years, I was in an on again, off again relationship. With like, we got to the point where I was like, oh, we've worked out the stuff. Like, we're on, this is my person, right? We're going to spend the rest of our lives together.
Yeah.
We were talking marriage and babies and buying a house. And it changed very suddenly when he came to me one day and he said, Sarah, I love you. I just don't see a life with you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's devastating, right? Like you
Yeah.
go from visions of, I'm going to grow old with this person. We're going to be sitting on our porch watching grandkids play in the yard. And all of a sudden, it's like the whole future picture goes black.
Yep.
And I had a choice in that moment. I could process that breakup the way that I always had, which a breakup, it already is like a form of trauma, oftentimes. But the way I would process it, it was almost like layering on additional trauma by self-blame and looking for where did I go wrong? How do I fix myself? And like, how do I get my partner back? Of assuming my partner was the thing that I needed or the thing that would make me feel better. That's what I always used to do. Or in that moment, I could find a different way. And there was a voice in the back of my head that was like 2% relieved that he ended the relationship. And that was all I needed to say, let's figure out something different. Let me find a better way to go through this.
Yeah.
And what I found, it's so wild. And it's why I wanted us to have this conversation. But I really got deeper into embodiment work and nervous system healing. And that had been almost, I found it all by accident, but it was like the missing piece all along. I remember I was doing the work. I was like 4 months into my healing, and I had a massage with a woman who she had a Japanese lineage and had a lot of body wisdom. And she goes, "Oh, you have more grieving to do." And I was like,
Oh.
"No, I've been grieving so much." And she goes,
Yeah.
"This is old. Like the grief you have is
Yeah.
old." And that's when I connected. It was all this grief I hadn't mourned, probably from my childhood, that was coming up with this relationship because I was finally safe enough in my own body to feel it and let it go. And this is the long way around the barn to say, like, I used a lot of modalities to get to a
Yeah.
place where I never wanted to look back. I never wanted to get back with him. I felt so clear that the future I'm building is better than the one I had in the past.
Mhm.
Not that there was anything wrong with it. I don't have any bad feelings about it. Just
Right.
moving on, moving forward instead of looking back.
Yeah.
And I feel and felt more confident in who I am and what I want than ever before. I'd never been able to answer those questions. And going through the breakup in this way gave me those answers.
Yeah. I feel that the fact that you said like you had that 2% and you went with that 2% instead of what's familiar, what's typically safe for you to do, and you change the dynamic. I feel like that goes back to everything that I personally talk about too, about that reconnection with ourselves, because as women we tend to suppress those things. We're like, oh, it's just a little nudge, it's nothing like
Yeah.
big, and we don't ever act on it. So congratulations to you for recognizing that, for one, but then following it for two.
Yeah. Yeah. And, by that point, I was 39. So I'd been
Yeah.
dating over 2 decades. I was like, I have a lot of evidence that this other way doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I have a lot of evidence that this other way does not get me the result I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And if I want something different, I'm going to have to do something different.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay, so breakups they can be really emotional. They can really shake a woman up, mentally, physically, and obviously emotionally. So, what actually made you realize that nervous system healing and embodiment has to be part of that process?
Yeah. So, like I said, I took myself as almost like a guinea pig
Mm-hmm.
of, I don't think that at that time, I don't think anybody was talking about, like, I'm a breakup coach and I help people
Yeah.
through breakups. So I
Yeah.
kind of put it together on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at a certain point, I was like, ooh, I could teach this to somebody because I've had to go through 4 or 5 different resources to feel whole again. So let me put this all together. And I started to look backwards of what made the most difference. And it was the moments of freedom in my women's embodiment group where there there was no wrong way to do anything. Like you just got to express.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like every time I was showing up on that Zoom camera with that group, they kept reflecting back to me, Sarah, you feel really tender.
Yeah.
And I've always been the woman who is like strong and grit and like, I'm fine. I'm going to put a smile on. And
Yep.
the fact that these women were seeing, you feel really tender right now. Like, let's take care of you. Let's not
Yeah.
push through it, which is what I'd always done. Like, let's nurture this. Let's take care of it. Let's be soft. That was mind blowing to me. And I find it's very common with women who are very driven, who have big careers, who like manage their family lives. We feel like we can't ever take care of the tender side.
Yep.
And then that part, it's like an open wound underneath a band-aid that's like oozing and asking for help, and we just kind of ignore it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you talk about helping women go from hot mess to badass. What does that transition actually look like?
Yeah, so I go into it in detail in that free master class so that what I want to help people do is normalize wherever they are in that process and know there actually are phases to this process. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with you at any point of the process. And so after all the women I've worked with, all the people I've helped, I found that these are like the universal phases. But starting at hot mess, we as women tend to make ourselves wrong for falling apart.
Mhm.
Of like, I have to keep it all together. I have to be the strong one. What I do is I bring that compassion that I never had for myself. I now have it, so I can bring it to people of like, no, let's let you fall apart.
Yep.
What structures do we need to put in place so that you can be a total hot mess? And instead of going like, no, 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 I can't do this. This is the wrong time. This is inconvenient. It's like, it's
Yep.
bad to be this emotional, instead of shaming ourselves for it. How can we create an environment where we're like, hot mess, welcome. You are welcome here, and I'm going to take care of you the way I would take care of a child or a puppy. Um, and then there are progressions that we move through in different phases of there comes that day of like, you know, I don't feel like putting on sweatpants today. I feel like putting on a cute outfit, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out of the hot mess phase. I'm gonna move forward into the next phase. And I'm gonna start thinking like, okay, like this is my new reality. What do I want my
Mhm.
new reality to be? And we move through that. And I think badass is defined differently for each woman, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
My version of badass, I gave up my apartment and I'm traveling the world as a digital nomad, and I created a business so that I can work from anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
that's me as a badass. Other women are like, I'm going to go for that raise. I'm going
Yeah.
to be the best mom I can be. I'm going to I had one client who started taking horseback riding lessons with her daughter and yoga teacher training. Like, that was her version of badass. And so I help people define what is that for you. And um, I love that so much more because it's so much deeper than just like, let's get the revenge body or the revenge life.
Yeah.
It's not about the other person at that point.
Right.
It's like what lights you up and will help you um, stay inspired to keep going forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that you have those phases too, because often what I find too is the acceptance phase. Like, nothing's wrong with me. This is just data. This is just where I'm at right now, is like the most powerful starting point that you could have with any of our coaching programs, right? So
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does heartbreak actually show up in the body and not just in the mind? Because I know how stress works, but heartbreak is probably similar, if not different.
Yep. Absolutely. It's actually very similar.
Okay.
So there are studies that our mind processes emotional pain the same way that we process physical pain. So I think that's why we start shaming it a little bit, because we don't
Mhm.
understand, like, this is just emotional. I should be able to get through this. Like,
Yeah.
no, your body feels like you're in pain.
Yeah.
Just, I use the analogy a lot of like, if you broke your arm, you would take care of it, right? There would
Right.
be steps. You would put it in a brace or like a sling. You would protect it. You would make sure it's comfortable. You would see a doctor. You would go to physical therapy to like rebuild the muscle to use it properly. You wouldn't just keep banging that arm around and like smacking it against door frames,
Right. Right.
which is how we tend to want to heal from
Yeah.
heartbreak.
Yep.
And so we have to understand that it is a main stressor in people's life because it's a big transition. You are losing one of the people that you were co-regulating with your nervous system.
Yeah.
And even if it's a traumatic relationship, your body is so used to that other person's body and it has been functioning in a way that it's not it's not functioning that way anymore,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going a little geeky on this because I know your
That's okay.
audience probably talks about this all the time.
It's okay.
So if you need me to deep dive into anything, I'm happy to. But
Yeah.
yeah, so understanding one, you've lost your major person for co-regulation.
Mhm.
You've lost, you lose oxytocin. There's a drop in oxytocin and
Okay.
dopamine. So we have to just be aware of that, right? There's a slump, there's a depression that
Yeah.
happens in heartbreak. And that's why it's happening chemically in your brain. And really, that's what my hot mess phase is all about, is how do we create comfort and those little mini hits of dopamine and oxytocin so that we can get you feeling normal, right? If you broke your arm, you might take a painkiller.
Yeah.
How do we create something naturally for yourself that we lower your stress
Yeah.
so that you can start sleeping, you can start eating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I have also been in like the in and out relationship situation for years. And I have come to find that exactly what you talked about with that dopamine hit. I felt like I was always bracing for the next reentry, right? So
Mm,
there was like the okay, this always happens where they step out and then it's like then I do the things where I start like focusing on myself and things like that and then I'm like, okay, I got a handle on this. Then in the back of my head it's like when's the next thing going to come in, the next text message going to come in where it's like I want to say it's an apology, but it's really not an apology. It's more like an I miss you. Like, and you're like,
yeah.
well, that was your decision, but it's such a, like you just said, like the dopamine fix of the highs when they're really high and the lows when they're really low and that swinging back and forth. Like, personally, I had to recognize that when I wasn't getting that dopamine fix, how could I get it elsewhere, I guess, almost?
Yep. Yep.
So it's in a more healthy, I'm regulating myself type situation. And again, going back to like the nervous system aspect of it, it's how do I ground myself again so I'm not like tight embracing for like the next thing. It's like, okay, wait, no, actually you are actually safe right now in this
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. And, reading Dopamine Nation blew my mind in the best
Okay.
way because it helped me understand. She's a researcher about dopamine and how it affects us, especially in things like addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And love is an addiction. Like there really
Yes.
is a physical withdrawal when it is gone. But she also speaks to we live in an age where we're used to a lot of high dopamine spikes.
100%.
So, yep, checking your Instagram gives you a big spike. Getting a match on Tinder is a big spike, or any dating app. But we're used to these big ups and downs. And so, what I help people do is you have to think about it like you're eating donuts for
Mm-hmm.
your main meals. If you eat a donut that's all sugar, no like fiber, no nutrients, your energy spikes, right? Like we all know that. And then you have an energy crash.
Yep.
And if you've only been eating donuts, you're really used to the spike and the crash, spike and a crash, spike and a crash. When it comes to this kind of healing work, and you're going to be regulating your own dopamine, you're not going to have the spikes in either direction. It's going to be more steady state. Like you go from eating donuts to I'm going to have kale salads now. And at first you're like, there's so much chewing. There's no flavor. This really sucks.
Yeah.
I really hate this. But then over time, you start to notice, oh, I'm more steady. Oh, I don't need to eat as many donuts. right? Like
Yeah.
I don't need those spikes. I stay full
Yeah.
longer, right? And so it's the same thing of when you start doing the work, it's a little boring. It doesn't seem to work at first because you're not having the big spikes. But if you stick with it, you find, oh, this feels different and I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think that so many women get stuck in these emotional loops and patterns? Because personally, I have heard it's similar to like slot machines,
Yeah.
and that, if you were winning all the time, it wouldn't be addicting. And then if you were losing all the time, it wouldn't be addicting. But to know that you can occasionally win is where that addiction comes from. And you can apply that to relationships, especially the more toxic ones. So why do you feel like the women get in these loops and patterns?
It could be several factors, one of which being that's a very addictive loop of
Mm-hmm.
like taking away attention and giving attention. We crave more of what we like and we crave more of those high highs, and we're willing to tolerate the lows because the high feels so good.
Yeah.
But also, there is an element of life patterns,
Okay.
right? If you have a pattern in your life where like love got taken away. Let me speak in specifics. I'll tell my story.
Okay.
So, and I don't tell this usually, so I don't normally go into this. So this
Go
is
for it. This
great.
is a safe space.
Yeah. Um, so I'm adopted,
Okay.
and as a baby, and it was never a surprise. I always knew it, but that imprints on your system of a rush of love and then a removal of love. And then as a teenager, my father passed away.
Mhm.
Obviously, again, not his choice,
Right. Right.
but you
Right.
still feel this loss of like somebody who loves me is gone. And that pattern of people who love me leave me stuck. And then I would get into a relationship with somebody, and I had a knack for picking the unavailable ones.
Yeah.
I loved it because it was a big high of like, "Ooh, look,
Yeah.
he picked me. I'm chosen." And then he would pull back.
Yep.
And subconsciously, what's happening is I'm thinking, I'm going to be the one that changes him. I'm going to be the one that ends it this time.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm the special one. I got the special sauce.
Yep.
And I hate to say it doesn't work that way, right? A
Mm-hmm.
person, like, I'm not the one that changes him. He's got to be the one that changes and wants to stay. And
Yes.
I wasn't looking for that evidence. I wasn't looking at, look at the patterns of his behavior. This is what's being shown to me. No, I was like, no, 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 I swear, I'm the special one. He's going to stay for me. Like, this is a special kind
Yeah.
of love. I'm going to
Yep.
change it all. And would stay in those spikes for, like I said, years.
Yeah.
It was years of it.
I think that that's really common too, that we think that we can be the ones to like fix or change or motivate or,
Yeah.
fill in the blank with
Yeah.
other people too, like not just our partners, but with other people that we genuinely care about, we want to see the best for. But at the end of the day, there is a point where we have to say, that's not our job. Um,
Correct.
Something I've recently talked to a bunch of friends about was being the emotional regulator of everyone around you. So,
100%. Like, that
yeah,
was my role in the last relationship. Like,
yes,
yeah, I got to help him regulate and, like, look at me, look how important I am. I'm exposing him to all this stuff that he doesn't know. Like, he didn't know about hydration, for crying out loud. I taught him to drink 8 glasses of water. Like,
that's
and
funny.
it was like a revelation. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, you feel better when you drink water. But I also got to help him. He had a traumatic family background as well. And so I got
yeah,
to be like, look how important I am. And this is where like life is complex. Life is
mhm.
nuanced.
Oh yeah,
He did make a lot of changes. He did start going to therapy and evolve. That's why I thought this is my person. This is why I'm going to stay in this. Look at him doing the work. but it was draining me.
Yeah.
It was all about him. And I couldn't be my full self in that relationship because so much of my mental energy, my emotional capacity went to regulating him.
Yeah. It's like that saying, what we focus on grows, or where our energy
Yeah.
goes grows. Yeah. So, what are some of like the emotional blocks that you see like right after someone breaks up with somebody or has a major disappointment and they come to you? Like, what are those? What are maybe like, let's say, the top three most common emotional blocks?
The first one I think is self-blame.
Okay.
When we point inwards of like, it's something I did wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or what in this is my fault, or why am I such a failure at relationships? And I call self blame a block because it's not helpful for healing. It appears to be because it's coming from a place of, if I can understand it, I won't do it again. And if I can control my behavior, well, then I can make sense of this chaos.
Yeah.
But what the energy really is behind that is it's self attack.
Mm-hmm.
And you're bringing yourself down. And we don't heal when we're attacking ourselves.
Right.
And we also, especially women, we don't flourish under that. Like we've all been in that cycle where I'm trying to think of an example of this where you have this like breakthrough revelation. You listen to one of these podcasts, you're listening to a book, and maybe it's something I've already said, but you're like, oh my God, that's exactly me. And look, I'm doing it here in my marriage or my relationship, and oh, I'm also doing it in my at work. And
Mm-hmm.
actually what happens is your energy goes womp, 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 womp. It goes down,
Yeah.
right? Of like, I'm terrible, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Where we actually thrive and the way out of this block is we have to learn how to start celebrating ourselves
Yeah.
for what is working, for noticing, right? For like, even if it's like, I let myself cry for 5 minutes today, I can celebrate that. Or I notice I'm being really hard on myself, and I can celebrate the fact that I notice it, because when
Yeah.
you notice it, that's how we change. And that gentle shift opens up your energy to focus the energy on the healing.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
asked for three, and I'm laughing because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's a mic drop. Like, I don't know if we need to talk about it. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
we need
no,
to go deeper.
that's a big one. That's a big one, that internal,
Yeah,
because yeah, because you can, this is something that I would fall victim to too, is over analyzing my part in it.
yes,
And it's like you said, like it might not even come off in your head as like I am the problem, but it's like, how can I be better? And then you're like, oh, let me go do some more, you know, internal work, some more personal development, like all of these things. But in actuality, that's not really the issue.
correct. Yeah, we live in an information age right now. Information isn't the issue. The issue
Yeah.
is we're not integrating it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And integration is hard when you have a habit of self attack because you look at every mistake as a failure.
Yeah.
But instead, we need to look at those mistakes that look at me learning, look at me trying.
Yes.
I am a big fan of my Peloton app, and I run with Bex Gentry, and she
Okay.
says failure, she wants us to redefine failure as an acronym at first attempt in learning.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
And
one.
I'm
I
like,
like that.
that's so good, right? Of like,
Yeah.
I tried something new. Look at me trying.
Yeah.
And she goes, I mean, because she'll do long runs. She'll be like, you can also sail, second attempt at learning, and tail, third attempt in learning. And
I
I'm like,
love
that just
that.
kind of, right? It like makes you laugh a little bit of
Yeah.
like, look at me keep going. I'm proud of me. I'm still
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, when we look at mindset work versus nervous system work, how can we tell the difference of what we actually need?
That's such a deep question. we need both.
Yeah.
They work together. Um, what I do when I'm working with somebody is I'm really sensing and feeling what feels alive, and am I feeling something in your body that feels really alive or really stuck? Like, can I feel that there are tears about to happen? Can I feel that sadness? Um, or does this seem like it's a thought loop? Does this seem like it's a mental thing that's happening? And I'll make an observation and I'll check in with the person, because what I want to do is I want you to learn how to do that for yourself. I
Hmm.
don't want clients for life. I want to
Yeah.
help you be able to
Same.
figure this out for yourself. Yeah, right?
Yeah, same.
Like,
I tell
yes,
people that all the time. I was like, I don't want you to stay in my programs forever. Like, I want you to go in and come out and move on. Like, I get
correct.
it.
So I'll say the thing of like, all right, here's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing your breath is a little shallow. I'm noticing like it sounds like emotions caught in your throat, but you're also saying XYZ.
Yeah.
Do you want to start body or mind? Which one feels more alive?
Yeah.
It's usually body first. Usually,
Yeah.
it's not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, I just got to stop these thoughts. Um, but we'll go into the body, we'll move through some stuff. I'll go through my process with them. And then what we want to do is separate out the story so that your story doesn't come into your emotions.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. If I need to go, do you want me to go deeper into that?
No,
I don't
you're
know.
fine.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Great.
You're fine. Okay. So, what does nervous system dysregulation actually feel like in everyday life?
Yeah, what people might be seeing, having trouble sleeping or eating. I get that a lot of people, or you could go the opposite and I can't stop eating, like I'm snacking
Mhm.
all the time. So it might be no appetite at all or snacking all the time. It could be, and it's the same thing with energy levels. There are some people who have no energy and like I can't get off the couch. And then
Mhm.
there are other people that are like, I'm spending 2 or 3 hours in the gym,
Yeah.
right? They're going kind of the extremes. Those are the main symptoms I see with people after heartbreak. And like a mind that won't stop, like their
Yeah.
brain just will not stop. That's also a sign. And so that's usually what I see in nervous
Okay.
system stuff for people.
Okay. Awesome. So, why do you think it is hard to move forward when your body is still like retaining the shock or the grief of the situation?
Yeah. So if you think about it, every emotion has a purpose
Hmm.
and it's holding wisdom for us. We have lost the ability in our ages of technology and all of this stuff, we've lost the ability to tap into that wisdom. We've
Yeah.
overridden it. And you have to go back several generations where they were accessing those emotions and they were able to tap into it. If you're having grief, the wisdom it has is you've lost something that you cared about deeply.
Hmm.
It's time to slow down. It's time to care for yourself. It's time to honor that love.
Yeah.
Honoring it can look like many different things. It's not just one thing. And if we try to skip that and we try to say, like, I'm just going to wait and I'm going to let time take care of this and I'm not going to do any of this work and I'm just not going to cry, I'm going to push through, it gets stuck in your body.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go away. It gets stuck in your body and it comes out sideways. So I think a great example is when a woman comes to me and she's like, well, I'm not an angry person. I don't feel angry. I don't have rage. But yet they'll talk about, road rage, somebody who didn't turn their blinker on or somebody who's weaving in and out of traffic. Hi, that's rage.
Yeah.
It's just coming out in a different
Differently.
direction,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and we do that with all our emotions. It's the
Yeah.
same thing of women don't feel safe to feel angry, but we feel safe to cry, and we cry when we're angry. Like, whoo, hi, that's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Or I used to cry in the middle of meetings. Like I had a high pressure, like visible job leading teams. And if I wasn't taking care of my grief, I was crying in front of the people I was leading. Not to say that that isn't appropriate sometimes, you can.
Right.
It
Right.
just wasn't a match for what was happening in that moment. It was
Right.
coming out from something else.
Right. I just
Yeah.
gave a really good example in a previous podcast about a soda can, how we try to like hold in all these emotions or try to move about without like our body signaling like, hey, I need this, I need that. And it ends up
Yeah.
being like a soda can where we're just continually shaking this can until eventually one day it's going to explode.
Yep.
So
Yep. Totally.
uh, let's see, you had mentioned something a second ago and I wanted to touch on it, and now I forget exactly what it was, which sucks. Okay, we'll move on, and maybe it'll come back.
It'll come back.
Okay. I felt like I almost had it. Okay, so nervous system healing and embodiment are part of your pillars of work. So, what does embodiment mean in this context?
Yeah. Um, I'm pausing because when I do embodiment work around the emotions that come up with heartbreak, we are often doing stuff that we've repressed for a long time of like, this isn't polite. This isn't cute. The last time I
Yeah.
did this, I was two. We're not allowed, quote unquote, we're not allowed to be like this anymore. Because I will have people go into full on temper tantrums. I
Yep.
will have people on the floor rolling around. I will put on a song, and believe me, like you can do this with the camera on or camera off. It is very healing to be witnessed in it. But I don't have to see it. I will put on a song and I'll say, turn your camera off or go off camera. And I will cue you to be paying attention to your body or to be making sound. And what
Yeah.
I'm interested in is you've got energy trapped in the form of emotion. I always say emotion is energy in motion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant to stay in your body, it's meant to
Right.
move. And so I use modalities of either body movement or making sound for that energy to start moving again instead of feeling trapped in your body. And it's not always cute.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be cute.
Right.
I'm interested in you feeling free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Um, I remember what I was gonna say. So we were talking about grief and holding that in your body. So another thing that I've come to realize too, as far as grief, is not just the loss of the connection itself, but also, like you mentioned earlier, like that future version of what you had hoped would happen. And now it doesn't look like that anymore, you know? So
Yes.
now, so now you have to also not just grieve that the physicality of this person is now gone, but the future you envisioned is also now gone, which also means the version of yourself that you saw with this person and in that future is also now gone. So there's like multiple layers of grief that I feel like we also don't really talk about and have to still process. So I feel like that grieving process is a very elongated process, and to give ourselves grace around it is important.
Absolutely. And you're hitting on a really important part of my process of that's part of what I do with detachment. I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of talk about attachment and attachment theory. But I actually walk people through detaching from the relationship.
Yeah.
And what you're speaking of these dreams that we thought we were going to live, these versions of ourselves that we thought we were going to be, even though they never happened, they are very real in your
Yeah.
mind, and we are allowed to mourn those and let go of those. But also, we can pull the wisdom from that of like I said, in my vision, it was like holding hands, and it was kind of like a log cabin kind of in the woods with like grandkids running around. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe the parts of that, it's not about being with that particular person,
Right.
but that vision feels important to me, of having like a little country home and having kids running around and holding hands with somebody even when I'm 90, right? I get to pull that as like I get to keep those for myself, of
Right.
that's something I still want in my life, not with that person, but for
Right.
me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a couple of ways that you help people kind of get in their body and get out of all the heaviness. So what are some healthy ways that someone can actually express their feelings instead of like avoiding them, or like you mentioned, like going to the gym all the time and kind of like compartmentalizing everything that's happened, or even overthinking, overanalyzing. So how do we express those in a healthy way?
Yeah, and I think there's a really important distinction that we all need to be making, is that we have expression and we have communication.
Okay.
And most of the time we are confusing and we are muddling the two.
Okay.
Expression is purely for yourself. It is getting something out, expression, right? We're getting it out. We
Mm-hmm.
are moving something. It does not have to be witnessed. You
Right.
can express an emotion totally by yourself, or you could do it in front of somebody, but you are not expressing with the intent to come together, with the intent to change something, with the intent to move forward, right? You are just truly, I'm getting something out.
Yeah.
Communication is when I am saying something to you with the intention of, I want to be understood so that we can do XYZ, so that something can move forward, something can come from this. There's an intention of coming together, being understood, and moving forward. Does that feel clear?
Yeah, yeah. So
Because I think some, go ahead.
communication like with yourself, or communication with people around you, or communication with that person.
Communication is usually you and another person.
Okay.
You need that other person because it's, I'm sharing what's in my head, I'm articulating it in a way, and I want something from this interaction. I want to
Okay.
build something. I want to move forward. I want to convince you of something, right? Like I want something from this,
Okay.
not in a bad way, in a great way. It's how
Yeah.
stuff comes together. It's
Okay.
through our words of building something together.
Okay. Awesome.
So sometimes we get, and the reason I bring this up is that like we'll be expressing our emotions, which is a necessary part, and we are trying to do it as communication.
Okay.
Like, I'm so mad at you, I'm so angry. And you can hear my hurt, you can hear my anger, but there isn't a clear request. There isn't anything clear of like what needs to change because there's so much heat coming from the emotion.
Yeah.
So the expression is necessary, and the communication actually comes from a different place. Communication comes usually from a grounded place where we've pulled the wisdom out of the emotion, right?
Yeah.
Anger, like if somebody cheated on you, your boundaries have been crossed, you've been
Yep.
betrayed, and maybe you want to stay together and you want to work on it. And what you need to do is you need to be able to communicate that from a place of like, look, you broke the trust. It's your responsibility to rebuild the trust. These are the ways that I see you rebuilding the trust,
Yeah.
right? You can also be angry, but you can't make a request from anger because it's not heard. It's only felt.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And this came from a question about grief. I lost the thread.
It's okay. No, it's good. We were talking about how do what are healthy ways to express the feelings that you feel. So
Yeah.
instead of suppressing them or avoiding them. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. And so expression doesn't have to have words
Okay.
because you're not trying to get anything from it. So if you have grief, it's why like we can wail when you're in grief. You have that wailing sound. I often go back to When Harry Met Sally is one of my favorite movies, and there's a split screen moment where they're each in their own beds watching Casablanca,
Hmm.
and they're wrapping up their conversation, and she says, "What are you going to do now?" And he says, "I don't know. I'm going to stay up and moan." And she goes to bed, and her screen goes black, and he's there, and the camera stays with him, and you just hear him going, "Huh, huh," like he's moaning.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was like, I want to try that. That's weird. And
Yeah.
oh my God, it feels so good when you are in
Hmm.
pain to just moan and like
Yeah.
it really does move that feeling.
Yeah.
Um, because you're acknowledging it's there. You're not saying go away, you're inconvenient, you're a problem. You're just saying, oh, I'm gonna moan. That's expression. That is expressing your grief. That's expressing your pain, and it's letting it move.
Yeah.
And what they had been doing prior was communication of this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm talking, this is what I need, this is what I want, right? That's
Yeah.
the difference.
I like that you mentioned that part because doing things like that verbal, just like monotone, whatever it is for you, it actually feels really awkward to do those first few times. But the science behind it like blows my mind because every time we do nervous system work, like you're toning your vagal nerve to relax, and so many things can happen from that space, like energetically. Like I tell people all the time, like your vagus nerve is so important to so many different things. And that is one of the techniques when we do like breath work and stuff. You know, if we inhale and we exhale with a sigh or we exhale with a hum, like that tone is your specific tone to you, just like your fingerprint is your own fingerprint. Like that regulates yourself on a whole nother level. So I'm very glad that you mentioned that because it may sound awkward, but it really works.
Yes. And if people need like a bit of an on ramp to get to the place where they're moaning, you can just say the word pain. You can repeat pain, pain, pain. Like if you're feeling pain, acknowledging pain, 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 or grief, 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 or
Yeah.
anger, 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 anger. You could just say it because what you're doing is you're acknowledging it, but you're also making some sound while you're saying the
Yeah.
word instead of pushing it away.
Yeah. I like that.
Hmm.
A question popped up in my head too when you talk about communication. What about if that person goes silent on you, like they ghost you, which is all the rage these days, unfortunately. But yeah, how do you, as the person who has been hurt by that person, and they maybe they said some things and then they have blocked you, they have gone silent, and there's no contact, what do you recommend for that person to be able to, like we said, express those feelings or walk through those steps if they can't have that communication piece?
Correct. Yeah. What information you get from somebody who is ghosting you? I'm going to start there. You get this understanding of this is a person who is not capable of having an uncomfortable conversation.
Right.
The reason that's important information is that that shows you they are not a safe place to get closure.
Right.
I know this by learning this the hard way many, many, many times of
You
trying to
don't
get
say.
closure, right? Somebody
Yeah.
who has proved themselves to not be safe for resolution.
Yeah.
Um, and it's gone both ways of like it's blown up in my face and the person does the dance where they think they're being nice and they just string you along for a little bit longer, but you
Yeah.
still like you're not getting the closure that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So when somebody shows you, it's that old saying, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. This person has shown themselves, I am not capable of the depth that you want, the level of communication that you want, um, the ability to sit in discomfort. I'm not capable of it. I've seen a variety of cheeky ways to deal with it, like the person who just sends the ghost emoji. Like I get a kick out of the person who can be that cheeky, or to write like a perfectly crafted text of like, I'm closing the loop, which is lovely. Um, I'm not I am not good at that. I'm really not. Um, and there are other people out there. You can Google like how to respond to. I actually have an episode on my podcast. Her name's Valerie Adams. She came on and I interviewed her because she had a great TikTok on what to do after ghosting. And I was like, this is great. I can't do this.
Yeah.
What I do is I get really into what is it that I need? I need closure. I need to know I'm worthy of this uncomfortable conversation. And what I have people do is write in your notes app or whatever, write out the text that you want to send, ask the questions you want answered, and then respond to yourself as if you're the other person. Like step into that person's shoes and give yourself all the answers that you're looking for. And let it land in your body and let you give yourself closure, right? Don't just sort of
Yeah.
like brush it off of like this doesn't count. It actually does. Your mind doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
It really doesn't, and neither does your body. Um, there was a piece I was going to add to that. Most people, even the best meaning people, if you were to try to have that conversation, what's either going to happen is you're going to get an answer that you don't like and it's going to hurt more,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to have more questions and your search for understanding will be never ending of like, I need more answers. I need more answers. I need more answers. So I find if you give yourself the answers, you will feel satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that kind of also kind of plays too with like journaling and stuff too, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So, how can women start taking this pain, this grief that they're having, and actually use it as fuel for their next new chapter?
Yeah, and I think we've sort of been like seeding it throughout, right? Like
Hmm.
it becomes fuel when we stop judging ourselves for having grief in the first place. That takes a lot of energy in itself to resist and to deny what you're actually feeling. So you will actually get an energetic, like you'll get some energy, you'll get a boost when you are like, oh, grief's here. Welcome, grief. Instead of, oh, no, 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 this is inconvenient. Stop pushing it away, stop resisting it, and welcome it. You'll get an energy boost. When you process that energy and it's no longer stuck in your system, you'll get an energy boost
Yeah.
because you've moved it. Um, and then when we grab for what is the wisdom? What is this grief trying to tell me? Is there something important that I need to know? That's how you can start using it to create your future vision. Kind of like I said, of like, I want to be holding hands when I'm 90 with somebody. That idea gets me really excited. When I
Hmm.
paint that picture for myself and I blur out who that person is, because I don't know yet,
Yeah.
and I just think about how much I want to be holding hands with somebody when I'm 90.
Yeah.
Oh man, like it sparks desire. And that's like a fire inside of me of like, ooh, I can't wait to create that. Like, oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for that to really happen.
Yeah.
So that's how it becomes fuel. We like clear the channel and then we clarify what you want, and you will get so
Okay.
excited by that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of plays into the next question about like what role does identity actually play when you're healing after heartbreak?
It's the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like the secret sauce because a breakup really is at at its core, it's an identity change.
Mm-hmm.
You were that person in that relationship, and you will become somebody new on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And it truly is like a death and rebirth, and it feels just that painful. And that's okay. It's okay for it to be hard, but that's why we work with people like you, like me, so that you're not going through the hard by yourself and you're
Right.
not doing extra hard steps when you don't really need to be.
Right.
You can simplify the process. I do it in a way that's very playful and fun. As weird as that sounds, it actually can be.
Yeah.
And that's how I can speed up the process for people much faster than it was for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's really helpful. And I think that's kind of our purpose too in doing the coaching that we do is because we've already walked through it. We've already done all of the research. We've already figured out the way that the systems work and stuff. And so we can just give you all of this without all of this nonsense around it. So, yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
So we talk about, this identity on the other side. So, I'm assuming that there's a part of you that has like some self-trust that is broken, right? In this process, we've kind of touched on that a little bit. So, moving through rebuilding that self trust. And then for someone who's in these early phases of the heartbreak, like what are a few things that you would want her to focus on?
The woman who's rebuilding her self-trust and who's growing through this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have her focus on, I'm putting words around this. So, I would have her focus on what is she making the breakup mean,
Okay.
and use that to support her trusting herself. So you could make a breakup mean, I have one client who started here of like, I just feel so sad for him. He's never going to be happy because I was the best chance he had. And she was using that actually in a way to make herself feel bad, not in a way to make her feel better.
Yeah.
And she was also saying like that was the best relationship I've ever had. I don't know if I'm ever going to find that again. It's hard for me to find that with somebody. She had a very similar story to mine of like people who love me always leave, right? So that's what she was making it mean. I'm a failure at relationships. And that's what people do almost automatically. If you're building self-trust, how can you look at the story of your relationship and make it mean something about yourself? So instead, she could tell herself, I saw that this was a person who didn't want the same future I did.
Yeah.
And so I chose my future. I loved more deeply in that relationship than I ever had in the past. And I deserve somebody who will also love me as deeply. That can be a really powerful frame of like, not from a self-righteous place, but a way of reassuring yourself of like, look how much I give. I deserve somebody who chooses to stay. I deserve somebody who chooses to give equally back to me. As like an affirmation almost.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're building self-trust, celebrate yourself. If it's been hard to not text your ex, celebrate. You could celebrate every minute you don't text your ex, right? Like, look at me. I went a whole hour and I didn't text him.
Yeah.
I went a whole day and I didn't even think about it. Instead of what people will come to me, like I meet once a week, they'll be like, I thought about him a lot this past week. And I was like, well, what were the moments you weren't thinking about him? And she was like, well, there was like this section here and this time here. And I'm like, we're going to focus on that, not everything else. Because like you said earlier, where you put your attention is what grows.
Yep. 100%. So, what mistakes do you feel women often make when they're trying to just heal faster?
I think when you're trying to heal faster, you tend to skip steps.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably trying to like rush through the hard, messy bits Maybe you jump into dating right away and you're like, oh, I'll just get over it if I'm with the next person. It'll go faster.
Yeah.
Um, or or they make these big sweeping declarations of like, I'm not dating anybody for a year.
Yeah.
But what they're doing with that, what I've, not that I'm saying everybody does this,
Yep.
but often if I get under it, what they're doing is they're like, I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to think about getting hurt. I don't even want to touch that because
Right.
I don't want to feel the pain I'm in currently.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, trying to skip the pain is, I guess, the biggest
Yeah.
mistake I see.
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about earlier too, like suppressing those emotions and like not allowing yourself to feel into what you're feeling and allow it to just be because that's how we've been taught to do things. So,
Right, right.
yeah. So what is well here, I'm going to ask this question first. So what is one truth that you wish every woman could remember when they're in the middle of heartbreak or disappointment?
I would love every woman to remember you're the magic in the relationship, not the other person.
Yeah.
It's okay to mourn the end of the relationship, and it's okay to mourn that that person's not in your life anymore. Absolutely. And you're the magic in your own life.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. I feel that. And then before we sign off, what is the biggest transformation that you witness with the women that you work with?
It's hard to pick just one. I have so many.
I knew that was going to
Um,
be a tough one.
yeah, it's a great one. I'll give one that's very they because they all feel really big. But
Yeah.
I have one recently. A woman came to me, and it had been 3 years since she had asked for a divorce, and she was
Mhm.
still doubting herself of like, did I walk away from a good thing? Is that the best it's ever going to be? Like, should I get back together with him? Am I making this harder on our daughter? Like a lot of doubt. And what we did was we went really deep into the emotional processing because she had never done it. She was just using doubt as a way to avoid feeling all the feelings that were present and all the sadness. Um, and she also realized that if she continued to stay in doubt about the relationship, she never had to focus on herself
Yep.
and she never had to actually believe in her dreams. And she has big dreams. She wants to be a singer-songwriter.
Oh.
She, yes, exactly. Like she wants to be out there, like being very public, singing songs to people and helping them feel seen in their pain. Um, and the kind of relationship she wanted was also bigger than what her ex had the capacity for.
Yeah.
Um, but as long as she stayed focused on her past, she never had to believe in herself and she never had to go for what she really wanted. And we worked on that belief, that self identity that you're talking about. And what started to show up was job opportunities. So she
Yeah.
took a job. She's teaching after school music to kids.
Oh,
And she took
nice.
that. Yeah, exactly. Which on the surface looks small. It was like a part time job.
Oh, but
She really wants to be a singer songwriter. She's like, this isn't my thing. And I was like, well, just take it. It'll be, you'll get some money. You're doing the thing you love.
mm,
And what happened was it reignited her passion for her work and how much she can change people through her music.
yeah.
That it actually shifted her parenting with her daughter. She showed up strongly with her daughter as like a better, more alive mom. And she can co parent now. She's like, we truly are better as friends and as co parents. And she has dropped all the doubt, all the guilt. And she's starting to believe in herself. And now we've been working together a couple months. Um, she has so many other job offers coming in that she's like, I don't know which one to pick now. So
Yeah.
she's living in her purpose, and this is a snapshot of her journey. I'm sure you and I could talk in a year, and I could be
Yeah.
like, she's singing on stages in Nashville. I don't know where she's
Yeah.
going, but like this is where it
Still.
starts, and it already had a big shift.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I'm happy for her too,
Yeah,
because That's awesome. Okay, so where can people, listeners, can connect with you? Where can they learn more about your work?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to guide your listeners through that process of Hot Mist to Badass on the free masterclass that you
Okay.
mentioned at the beginning. And that way they can find exactly where they are in the process so they can get clarity about how do I accept where I am and what's coming for me in the future of like what's the rest of this journey look like. So
Okay.
that's on my website, sarahcurnoles.com/masterclass.
Mhm.
And if they just want to hang out, I'm on Instagram. I love having these conversations there. So my Instagram is at Sarah Curnoles.
So, if this conversation spoke to you, then I highly encourage you to connect with Sarah and explore her work. Like she mentioned, she has her masterclass. You can go to sarahcornells.com/masterclass. You can also visit her website and connect with her on Instagram. If this episode supported you, share it with a woman who needs this reminder that you are not broken.